that way down to the A38.
Yeah, okay, right.
Okay. So we've got Kent's, was that a farm?
Kent.
Which side? You mean the other side, Kent's Bridge? There was a farm, Malabar's farm, the other
Yeah,
side.
I've got Malabar's, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Where Jack Dickinson used to keep all his things in
no,
the
it
big
was a
barn
it was
type
a
place.
builder's yard.
Or
that
builders.
was
Oh, yeah.
maize first of all. Excuse the builder's yard.
And Mr.
and-
Rayworth had it as well.
Rayworth had it, and then later on Charlie Kent, the builder, had it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes.
can remember that.
Yeah. Yes.
Then we go, obviously Mrs. Dickinson.
Yes, Mrs. Dickinson.
That's
It was
yours.
Mrs. Ayres when we were at
Her
school.
mother was
Her
Mrs.
mother used to
Ayres.
keep it as a
Yeah.
sweet shop, and then Mrs. Dickinson took it over,
Yeah.
and she extended it and sold fancy goods in another part.
When you used to go in very early, it was all little drawers, wooden drawers, and she'd pull the drawer out with a wooden knob on, and pull the drawers out, wouldn't she, all at the back?
This
What was
was
that
in
for the sweets?
Well,
the sweet
everything.
shop,
It was
yes,
all,
mm.
you know, like an
Oh, I
old
don't remember.
apothecary's shop
Yeah.
Yes.
years ago. She'd pull the wooden drawer out with the wooden knob on, and it was all on the back.
Mm.
Because it was split into 3 different parts, wasn't it? The grocers.
Or
Yeah,
she
yeah,
extended
yeah,
it
yes,
later.
yeah, she extended
yeah.
it. Originally, when her mother had it, it was just the sweet shop with
Yeah.
that bay window where she's got a kitchen now, I think, whoever lives there. And then she did the next place with fancy goods, ornaments. I've got 1 or 2 here now, and then she did. What was the other end? More fancy goods, was it?
Fancy goods and
Yes, yeah.
bread. She
Yes.
sold bread.
Yeah.
And ice cream.
Oh, and ice cream. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
and the ice
Oh,
cream.
yeah. She worked it up into quite a business. And,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Then opposite was what was Paul's newsagents. Was that before? That was before the pet shop, fishing shop. Fishing tackle
Yes.
shop. Mr. Simpson's.
Yes, it used to be. It's been all sorts of things that has. Mainly, I remember it. Who was the fellow that cut hair? Bill Simpson.
Bill Simpson.
Bill Simpson had it for a fish and chip shop.
Oh yeah, that was a fish and chip shop.
Oh,
Yes.
as well as the chip shop down the road.
Well, that was.
That was very early days.
Yes, it was
Oh,
early
right,
days.
yeah.
I'm not quite sure they existed at the same time, but the other one down the other end, that's been there a good while. But
Yeah.
Peggy Anderson told me that Mrs. Guy used to keep that fish and chip shop
I
down
don't
there.
remember that still.
Then it was Paul's newsagents.
Yes, he had it just before
Yeah,
these sort of
Old
shops were
Man
built.
Paul,
Yeah, that's
yes.
right. Yeah, yes.
Then a pet shop, I think.
I don't remember the pet shop, to be quite
Well,
honest.
it's all fishing tackle things and
Yeah.
things like that. I don't know whether they've got pets in there.
Yeah.
I can't remember that. Then somebody told me, because you can edit me out asking questions, between Mays Alley and Butts Croft,
Yes.
the 2 houses that are separate houses now, 103 and 105
Yeah.
Main Street,
Yes.
used to be one house.
Yes, it did.
Somebody owned it.
Who used to live there?
Who was born in 1901.
Yes.
Mr. Houghton.
Houghton.
Yes.
Houghton's used to live there. That's
Yeah.
right.
Houghton's,
And
they
it
had
was
the
one
croft
house,
at-
yes.
The croft at
Yes.
the back.
And then didn't there used to be a shop there? Because they've took a bit of it off, haven't they? And there's just a flat at the end now. But I think there's a shop of some sort there. But it was a long time ago because I don't remember it being a shop or being used as a shop. I remember it looking like a shop
It looked
with a big
like,
window. Yes.
That's right.
But
It was a shop, yes.
Yeah.
Like a hardware.
Yes.
Was it?
Mr. Greytrex, who lives in one of the houses
Yeah.
there,
Uh-huh.
said it used to be
Yes. Yes, it did.
a hardware type
A
shop.
hardware. Oh, that was a long time ago.
Just
And of course,
remember
opposite
it.
there is the old co-op.
Yeah, the
Mm.
old co-op is
Yeah.
opposite,
And,
isn't
yes.
it?
Yes, Mr. Hickson and his two daughters used to run
That's
that, didn't
right,
they?
Ruby and-
And Tom Smith.
Ruby and Pearl.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Then Barker's.
Well, that was part of the old co-op, wasn't it?
What?
What Mr. Barker's got now.
Yeah, yes.
There's a
Yes,
storeroom at
yes,
the back.
yes. He used to,
There was a
as you know,
storeroom.
used to sell flowers in that alley next door and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
He's finally stopped now, but
Yeah, but it was when we moved in. It was Barker's greengrocers.
yes, he did have a shop there for a while, didn't he? After
Oh, he did,
Yes,
didn't
he
for a
did.
while.
Yes,
yeah.
that's
right, yes.
After the old co-op.
that's
yeah,
right. Oh
that's
yes, the old co-op was quite a long time ago.
Then Nick Collins had it.
Yes, Nick Collins had it briefly. Yes, yes.
Then Video Shop.
Yes, software and stuff. That was the latest one, apart from what's there now.
Yeah, but I remember it being a video shop where you could go in and hire a video.
Yes.
There.
Yes.
Now it's
yeah.
Rainbow. Then next door was that was Tom Smith's farm.
Yes.
Well, just down the road, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. That was yes.
Yeah.
That's the first farm from there. Yes, Tom went to.
There was a cottage in between, and then Tom's
Yes.
farm,
Yeah.
farmhouse.
Pye's cottage was next, and then there was the farm. Yes, yes. Tom
Next to the slaughterhouse.
Tom Smith went down the fields one day, and
Yes,
he
was sawing
I
a
don't quite.
branch
It's an
off-
accident. He
off the
must have
tree.
sat on the branch and sawed it off or
And
something.
it
And
killed him.
oh, something like that. It killed him. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it did.
Yes,
Oh,
it
yes.
fell down.
And of course, she lived
off
there
the
for
branch
ages afterwards on her own. Yeah.
and killed
Because
him.
all the outbuildings were still there until recently.
Oh, that's
until
right.
they
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
she
that-
wouldn't
yes,
sell
that's right.
them.
Yeah.
She
No,
wouldn't
no.
sell them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where's she? Is she alive still?
No, she's passed away now.
Right.
Yeah. Passed away.
And of course, opposite there was another farm.
Opposite.
Yes,
so,
yeah. Yes, that house that's right close to the road where the floods always got in, and they've got
Oh,
to
was that a
reach.
farm?
Oh yes, yes, yeah.
Before, what's the name? Batch
Ru-
Giles lived in the house. Are you talking there?
Who?
Batch Giles. Are you talking
Mount
about
Jaws. Oh no,
on
no.
the other side of the road,
Yeah,
or are
yeah,
you
yeah.
talking by the
Yes,
slaughterhouse?
exactly opposite the other side of the main street to Tom Smith's farm. There was that big house, a fairly large house. It's right on the pavement, and that used to be a farm. Well, more of a small one, I suppose.
I mean Mrs. Perkins' old house. Yes, that was like a small holding,
Yes,
wasn't it?
yes, yes.
But,
Can't
yeah.
remember the name of the farm now. We used to live there at one time many years ago. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, it was
we
like
didn't.
a
I didn't. It was
s-
before I was born.
Mary Perkins and
Yeah.
her brother. What was her
Yeah.
brother's name?
Eric.
Forget her brother's name.
Mm.
Because June was one of them as well, wasn't
Oh, that's
she?
right.
June.
Yes, yes, but
But
she.
she was
yeah.
brought up at Cannon.
That's
wasn't
right.
she?
Yeah, she was brought up by an aunt or something.
Yeah, there was Mary. And what was her brother's name?
Ken.
Ken.
Yeah.
Ken Perkins. Ken and Mary.
And then where Butcher Giles lives now, it used to be Howard Smith's, didn't it? No, wait a minute. Mrs. Cork and her husband lived there for years in that house on the corner of Post Office Lane and the main street.
Oh, on the corner house.
Yes, that's
yeah.
right. Yes, yeah.
That name rings a
Cork.
bell, Cork.
Corks.
It's still Corks in the village now. The name rings
Not
a bell.
that I know of. Mrs. Cork's dead and her husband, so I don't know
Well-
if there's any family about. No,
Before them, what were the names before them? I forget the name.
yeah, I can't remember the
Do.
name of those before them. Because
No.
Corks were there quite a good few years, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
What era are you talking about there?
I think Mrs. Cork died in the 70s. Yeah, late
Oh,
70s
so we
probably.
would have been there then.
Yeah.
Then we've got Jeff Marber's on the other side of Fox Lane.
Yes,
That's quite
and
far.
before Jeff Malabar's, there's
This is
that White House on the corner of Fox Lane and Main Street. That was Collingwood's.
Mrs.
Oh, yeah,
And it
but
was
that
they had the
slaughterhouse.
abattoir.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well,
that-
years ago, she used to do hairdressing. In
Oh,
the
did
war
Mrs.
years,
Collingwood,
yes,
did she?
the war
Yeah,
years, because my mother went, you know, these old-fashioned perms, the
Yeah.
tight.
Oh yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
she was the village hairdresser.
Mm.
Yes.
Like attached to like electrodes
That's
or
right,
something.
you sat
thought you were
under
having
her,
your brain electric.
yeah, you sat under her, because she took me with her, you know, and I sat under this tall things hanging down, weren't
Yeah.
they?
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, she did that.
Everybody in Orwell seemed to work from their front rooms.
Yeah,
Yes,
All
I
the
did
shops.
at one time. Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
And her daughter married a New Zealander, didn't she, Marjorie?
I don't remember
Yes,
that.
Marjorie
Don't
married
remember
a
that,
New
yeah.
Zealand airman,
Mm. Mm.
and that's how Mrs. Collingwood went out just lately
Yeah.
to live with her.
Oh.
Mm.
Yeah.
So Jeff Malabar was opposite.
Yes, of
I was
course it was
saying.
his father that had the farm then,
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
and what was his dad's name?
Um,
I can't think. Anyway, when they gave up the farm, they went across and lived in that big bungalow opposite.
Remember that being built,
yes,
yes.
that's
what was
right.
his
Yes.
name?
And yes, then Jeff took over the farm. Of course, before he took over the farm, he'd got all that land there alongside the Fox Lane. There was a big croft, and he used to keep
Oh, yeah.
greyhounds on it. You remember that?
I do.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, he used to keep greyhounds, and that's where a lot of his money went.
This is Jeff. Or
Yeah,
the dad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeff.
Oh no, his dad was more canny. He kept his hand on his money, but Jeff wasted a lot like that, I think.
Then the post office.
Yes,
What was before the post office?
the post office was run by
Mr. Fisher.
Tishy Fisher.
That's right.
We used to call him
Tishy
Tishy
Fisher.
Fisher because I don't know why, but he was in the choir when I was in the choir. He was at the back of us, and the choir boys in the front stalls, you know, at the top of the church there.
Yeah.
And yes, there was Fisher,
Mr. and Mrs.
Mr.
Fisher.
McKnight.
Was that before Mr. Fisher, Mr. McKnight?
No, he was just another member of the choir.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, in
Yeah.
the choir,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
it?
Mm.
I would thinking about the church and all this. I know it's digressing a bit, but we've gone past it, and that's at Nelson Bald's old place. You know, immediately opposite Mays Alley. There's a black and white cottage end on.
On the same
Where-
side as
where
where the-
Biddy lives there. Do you know Biddy?
I know the name.
Yeah, she lives there now. Well, the church organist used to live there. Nelson Ball.
Oh, did
That's
he?
right.
I don't use your name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, the post office. Before Mr. Fisher.
I don't know. I don't remember before Mr. Fisher. They was there a
No,
long,
I
long
don't
time,
know.
weren't they?
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Fisher were. I
Yeah.
don't remember it.
Peter thinks, unless I've got it wrong, that Paula's grandfather ran it,
Mm-hmm.
or it was something else. It wouldn't have been a
Paula
pub.
Jubilee.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wasn't something said about the Williams' shop where they were there? Williams' sweet shop, which is next to the post office.
Yeah, I've got Mrs. Williams,
Yeah.
then I've got Paget's,
Oh, Paget, yes,
and
yeah.
then I've got Dorothy Yardley.
Yes, that's right. Yes, they were all there at one time. Yes,
Yeah.
Mrs. Williams was when I was at school. A year
Yeah.
or two ago.
Just a couple of years ago. But so the post office has been there, crikey,
Oh, it's been
Yeah.
more or less the same.
As long
as long as you
remember.
can remember.
Oh yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. What was the chemist before the chemist?
The
That's
chemist
what
was
it
on the
cottage.
corner, and
Cottage
yes,
on the
it was a
corner.
cottage. It's been built onto a bit since then, but it was Mrs. Parton, and that front door of the. Of course, they've made it into two now, and the father lives in the one, and his son lives round the corner.
Where's that?
That's opposite the Dragon.
Opposite the chemist that is now.
Yeah,
And that's
It
where the
was
chemist
exactly
was
opposite.
then?
and it was
the
Mrs.
cottage.
Parton, the chemist. Yes.
Oh, right.
Mm.
Yeah.
She was quite a
Okay.
dapper, posh little lady, weren't she? Very smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
She looked like.
Mm.
I remember it being.
Yeah.
And then, of
And then-
course, opposite the Dragon, Harold Carlin used to be landlord at the Dragon when I first remember.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
And when he left the Dragon, he went down and opened a hardware shop the other end of the street.
Yeah.
And yes, Harold.
So that was before
Harold.
Mary's mum and dad.
Oh
ran
yes,
it.
oh yes, oh yes, much
Yeah.
before that. Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes, years ago.
Right.
Mm.
Then further down the road there's Mrs. Wright's.
Yes, there was Mrs.
Yeah.
Wright's shop. Yes, where now there's a sort of a drive-in. There was a little wooden building that was Mrs. Wright's shop, and she
Was a
sold
wooden building, yeah,
materials and ribbons and
Yeah,
all
wool.
sorts of things. Yes, yes,
She'd sell them
yes,
for
yes. And she used to live in the house.
and,
As you face the shop, she used to live on the right,
Yeah.
where Audrey Bennett used to live.
Was there a shop or houses at the back of there when you went down the drive?
No, there's two cottages.
yeah.
There's two cottages at the back of Audrey Bennett's,
Yeah.
and but no shops. I'm pretty
Between
sure.
Mrs. Wright's and the butcher's?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Now you go down. There's a single gate, and you go down a passage, and there's two cottages.
Because Pat Finney used to live there.
Pat Finnegan used. She still lives in the one.
She
of them,
lives
the
in one of
furthest
them.
one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know who
Yes.
lives in the other one. Somebody. No, I don't know.
And has
Tell
the
you.
butcher's always been there?
Oh, the
As long as
butcher's
you
has been there as
remember.
long as I can remember. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Three
Yes,
generations.
he's branching out a bit now. He's got one at Tamworth as well. But yes,
Yeah.
he's been there
His
ages.
father and his
Mm.
great
It's
grandfather.
Peter and Anthony that run it now.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. And then we've got where the dentist is now. We've got Jeff Sylvester's shop, and then it was a clothes shop, which I think it was Rags to Riches or Rag and Bones
It
or
was,
something.
Yeah.
clothes.
When I went to school, it was Dolman's shop, a Dolman's grocery
Yes, that was grocery, wasn't
yeah.
it?
John Dolman.
shop. No,
No, it was her son's name.
can't remember.
Ted, not Ted.
would he be on that photo?
No.
No.
No, you've got on that photo. You've got Reuben.
And he
Reuben,
worked
no, that's
in the
another
shop.
Dolman.
He worked in the shop.
Yes, he did. Yes,
with,
yes. Anyway,
what
it
was
was
his
Mr. and Mrs. Dolman used to have the shop, and then
her son helped to run it, didn't he?
yes, he died, and then she married that other fella.
Did she
In fact, we had our
remarry?
wedding reception at the back there. They had a big,
yes.
a long, low wooden building
Did
built
wedding
to do
receptions.
wedding receptions.
At the back,
Mm.
in the room at the back.
And when Jean and I got married, her sister married my brother, and we had the reception there.
A double wedding.
Yeah, there's a photo behind John there in the window.
Uh-huh. So that would have backed
What was
on
his name?
to.
I can't think of his name, can you?
No, I can't. No.
No.
Anyway,
So
there's-
the William pub wasn't there then.
oh, the William pub's been there forever. That Dad, when Dad first joined the British Legion, he was one of the people that started up the British Legion in the village, and they used to meet at the William, and eventually they moved. Oh, because they got a place on the pony field, didn't they? They bought the pony field and had a headquarters built, and then of course they ran into financial difficulties.
This is where Poppy Gardens is.
That's
now.
right.
Yes,
Poppy
yeah,
Gardens is
yeah.
there now, and of course then they bought the tree calf.
Yes. I've forgotten the tree calf. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then at the where you've got the pub and then the scout hut, at the back of there was Clary Smith's yard.
Where's that?
It's houses now.
You're down the William IV
William
Lane.
IV Road.
Yes, Audley Malaby used to have a place there. You'd go to the end of William IV Lane and turn left, and you know those big old houses that are just round the corner.
Where I worked, Bisbal.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
He lived
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Did you? Aye.
Yeah.
My sister, my brother and sister-in-law used to live in one of those houses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before those others were built.
Well, Bisbal
Yes.
was on the corner where Audley Malaby lived.
Yeah. Yeah.
And next door was Clary and Madge Smith.
Yeah. Yes.
And Clary had got a yard. What was it?
Was it Motors or something? I know he worked for
He
Audley.
did welding and all that.
Yeah,
type
yes,
of
that's
thing.
right. Yes, he worked for Audley, and of course Audley left it all to him when he died.
Did he?
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, it was engineering.
because I don't
yes.
think Audley had got any. I don't know.
So
did,
was
he
he-
did have family, but we don't know what happened to them.
Was Audley a brother of Old Man Malaby then?
I think
was
he
some
was. I think he was.
relation,
Yes, I think he
yeah,
was
some
a
relation.
to the farmer. Yes, yes.
Because in
Yes.
in the hallway of the house that Audley lived in
Yes.
was the most fantastic mural on the wall. Somebody had painted it,
Yeah.
and we never did find out who painted it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It's
I didn't know
beautiful.
about that.
And there was also a ghost there called Silas.
Oh,
In the
Is
house.
it? Oh, right.
Then obviously opposite Bisbal was Tom Mellor's farm,
Yes, yes.
and I've heard loads and loads of stories about Tom
Yeah.
Mellor.
Mm.
Nice stories because he was lovely.
yeah.
Yes, he was a nice chap, Tom was, yeah. And I suppose if Jackson has his way, that'll be knocked down and built on, and
Yeah,
so
Is it still
Yeah.
there? The house?
it's still there. Yes,
Interesting.
yes.
it's still there, but
I'm not sure why it's still there. I don't suppose it's a protected house.
Leasley, one of Leasley's, has bought it when Tom died
Oh, right.
for
Oh,
his
right.
granddaughter.
Oh,
But
right.
it's derelict.
Yeah, it is. Yes, yeah.
Terrible state.
Oh, is it still
Yeah, and
empty?
cow sheds. I used to remember him putting the
Yeah.
churns of milk outside.
Yeah. Yes.
There. And
Yes.
come down the road on his push bike with the cows in front of him.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yes. I
Yeah,
remember the
I
cows being
remember
driven
him.
down the main street. Yeah.
Down Fox
Yeah,
Lane.
yeah,
Yeah. And he used to have cows on Sutton Park as well.
Did it?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's a long way to fetch him for milking, wasn't
It
it?
was on his bike. He was a lovely, lovely man, and he used
Yeah.
all the
so-
kids used to go around there and help.
Oh, they did. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. They all liked
Yeah,
him.
because Nick Collins told me loads of stories about when they used to go around there
Mhm.
with him
Mm.
and do the haymaking and everything. Yeah. Then we go further down the road, past William the Fourth. Obviously, Midland Bank. That was built by the Midland Bank, wasn't it? That building.
You mean where the pottery
Crackpot
is
says
now?
now.
No, it was a
no,
cottage.
no,
It was a cottage in the
it
old days, and June's relatives used to live there.
was, wasn't
Yeah. What's the name? Surname?
June. Not June
Wheeler.
Road.
June.
it? Wheeler.
No, that was a married name.
Oh yeah.
Perkins.
Yeah,
The
oh,
Perkins family used to live there many years ago.
Has June lived in the village all her life?
No, she
she
was
was
brought up by an
brought up-
aunt or something. So,
Yes.
yeah, she didn't. I don't know why, but she didn't want
She
brought up with the rest of
brought
the
up in
family.
Cannock.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
She told me.
I could have gone and interviewed her.
Because they lost
So,
the mother
yeah,
young,
yeah.
didn't they?
They did.
Lost
That's
the
right.
mother
Yes,
young.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
And he was left
Yes.
to bring them up.
yes.
Yeah.
So that was taken.
So it was a
that was
cottage to
bought
start
and
with?
converted. Yes, it was a cottage. Yes.
But because I thought the Midland Bank actually built that building.
No.
Because it was an old place,
No.
yeah, because it
Yes.
really old ceilings upstairs.
Oh yes. It was,
Low
it was an old
ceilings.
cottage. Yeah. Yes.
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 And then it was turned to the Building Society after Midland Bank.
That's right. Yes. And now it's crackpots.
Crackpots.
Mm.
Then further down the road you got what was Harvey's. Jeff Harvey's.
Yes, that's right. Yes, well, that site there was the it was a farm. There was a house, not a very big farmhouse, and it was well back from the road. And the farm buildings were all down, looking up Exchange Road from Main Street. The farm buildings came straight to the road. You know, real old farm buildings. What did we say? It was Turner's farm.
Mrs. Turner.
Turner's farm, yes.
Oh, that was where it was. So
Yes, that's right. Yes.
It was
And of
higher
course,
up,
no.
near to Cowlings.
Oh no.
So all that where the co-op and the chip shop.
That's right.
That was all the farm.
That was all a farm. Yes, yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
She used to sell the milk. We used to go for milk.
Mm.
And she'd ladle it out into your jug.
Yeah, out of a big churn.
Out
Yes.
of the churn.
Good milk. Yeah.
So, and of course, the next one is the other side, the Exchange Road. There's a bungalow, and that used to be Viv Swinfield's farm.
That's right.
And I think
On the
from,
corner before you get to the doctor's. Or on the other.
That's
Yeah,
right. On the
yes, the shops are there, Exchange Road there, and the bungalow's there. Just before you get to, there's a row of houses where Chris Fitt lives in the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was a farmer.
And that was Swin.
Viv Swinfield. Yeah.
I thought that was down Back Lane, so.
Oh
Or
no,
wasn't it
no, that's you're thinking of.
Furlong?
Yes.
I thought that was Viv's down,
Oh no.
down Furlong.
Jack Swinfield was
Oh, Jack.
his
that's right, yeah.
his farm was from the main street. You know where the little boxes are. Those houses we always call little boxes. Where Tony lives in one of them. And it went straight through to the Furlong Lane.
Yes.
And that was all the farmyard. There was just behind Tony's, where Tony is, there was the rickyard, and then there was farm buildings on the other side. Yes, it was Jack Swinfield, and what was her name? Arnell used to work there at one time.
Oh yes, you're right. Viv was in the main street. Yes.
Yes,
wasn't
that's
he?
right. Yeah.
And Jack down
And
Furlong.
well, he was sort of on both the main street and Furlong, and of course it wasn't Furlong in those days. It was,
Back
we all
Lane,
called it Back Lane.
Did you?
Yes, it was always Back
Yes,
Lane.
how long ago? About the 70s or 80s, they decided they changed the names of Wellfield Road because there was supposed to be a well down there at one time, so they called that Wellfield Road, and they took the name Furlong Lane and for the Back Lane. I suppose Back Lane didn't sound good enough or something. I don't know.
What was Wellfield called then?
Wellfield
was Wellfield?
was Furlong Lane.
Right.
Wellfield was Furlong Lane.
What's
Yes.
Wellfield now was Furlong Lane.
So where was the well?
I think it was supposed to be somewhere around the pony field, as far as I can remember, or perhaps on some ground where the Deepmoor is now, somewhere along there.
Why'd you call it Ponyfield?
Well,
Ponies were
yes,
kept on there,
yes.
weren't they?
I
Ponies
think
were
they
kept
did. Somebody had some ponies on it years ago,
The name stuck.
but not so much when we were kids because there wasn't a gate on there, and there was the sand pit, and we used to play in the sand pit as kids. Yeah,
Sand out.
there's a huge
the
sand pit.
building.
It was about 9 foot deep or more.
Very deep,
Yeah, it
wasn't
was. Yeah, used to have lots of fun there.
This is
digging holes.
before even the Legion was built there.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Before the Legion bought that, they bought it, filled that in, and built their headquarters. And
Yeah.
as I say, they run into trouble
Yeah.
later on, and had to, excuse me, had to sell
Move
it.
it to down the other end. Yeah.
What is it now?
It's all
Time.
houses.
No.
Oh, I see. It's Poppy Gardens.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Quite a few box type
Yeah.
houses. Yeah. Then we went further down, didn't we? And we've got Joe Green's was the greengrocers.
Yes, the
And
one
then-
that used to spit on his apples to polish them.
Yes.
It did. I
This
remember
was-
it. I think it was Ray said that, or else it. I don't buy any apples out of the windows, you see, because I've seen him spitting on them to polish them.
So what was it? That was before Barker's, obviously, because Barker's was up the other end, but Barker's wasn't there then, was it?
Yeah, but Barker's the next one along, aren't they? From
Yes.
Joe Green now, going up that way.
So
Yeah.
there was a bit of
That was their
rivalry,
ages.
wasn't there? He didn't quite like it, did he, when Mr. Green started up with
No,
the...
no.
You see, there was a bit
So-
of
Right.
rivalry.
But he was up the other end of the
Yeah.
village, wasn't he then? Mr. John Barker. What was Barker's
No,
before?
he-
Was
No, it was later on that he got down that end of the village,
Oh,
John.
yes.
Yes, oh yes.
oh no,
After-
Mr. Green started up next door as a
Yes,
greengrocer.
yes, Green. Mr. Barker didn't quite like it, did he?
And that's the old Mr. Barker.
The old Mr.
Not
Barker
John.
we talked
Oh no, not John. No,
John
no,
was the son.
no,
Yes.
his dad.
His dad and mother kept
Yeah.
it before.
Yes,
Poor
and
John.
it was just more or less
Remember them?
as it is now. It hadn't got
It's just...
it hadn't got bay windows downstairs, and it hadn't
that
got
was
any
the,
extensions.
That was the
on.
house.
Yeah.
That was the house they lived in,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yes, they lived in that house, and
Yeah.
that front room.
Turned into a shop.
Yeah, you went
Yeah.
into a door in the middle of the front, and
Couple
that
of
was the
steps.
shop. Yes.
Because
Up a couple
Doreen
of
Harkin
steps.
used to work for them.
You went up the
Did
front
she?
door.
Yeah,
and
she used to
up-
work in the greengrocery side,
mm.
or the delicatessen side
Ah,
of it.
well, it
Years
was
ago.
John and possibly Peter that built that extra on,
Yes.
and of course he went into some very posh stuff like champagne and
Yes.
whatnot, and
Yeah.
I think there wasn't so much call for it. Really,
Bottled
in the village.
fruit in
No, no.
brandy and all that type of stuff.
that's
It
right.
was just
yeah,
a little
yeah,
grocery
yeah.
shop,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
But when we first got married, we used to live at 22 Main Street, Orrywis, which is a bit further on. In fact, it's the last house before you get to the main road, before you get to Leavesley's. And Jean and I had the front room as a living room, one of them, because there was two at Mum's place, and the bedroom above it. We lived there for a couple of years when we first married. We used to shop at Barker's. They were ever so nice. I remember when Jean had John, they bought a layette, something. They always give us a present on the birthday. So they were a nice couple.
Oh.
Yeah.
They were.
And which
Shit.
house did you live at then? You lived in Main Street, didn't you? Next door to Cyril.
Yes, that.
Yes, in the
yeah,
cottage
yeah,
when they first came to the village. The cottage next to
That's
Cyril.
right. Yes,
yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
gone now.
Then they moved to those houses going up for the co-op on the left.
Yeah.
One of those
Yeah.
next to Mr. and Mrs. Ward.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, you mean those that Tipper's out
Where-
now? Edwin Tipper owns them now, didn't they?
Don't
Those
know,
little
Cyril
cottages.
owns
Yeah,
them.
yeah, Tipper.
Mrs. Hood lived in a house
Mm.
at the end. The Hood family.
And Mrs.
I
Hood
remember
moved
Hood's
down
living-
In that
into-
cottage, well, it's quite a big cottage. And then our four houses came. And then the
The
co-op.
newer type houses, where Chris Fitt lives.
That's right. I think Ron Ward built them, didn't he, Mr. Ward? I don't know whether he
I'm not
built
quite
them.
sure.
But didn't you work for Mr. Ward, didn't you?
No, I worked for Jack Bannister.
Oh, you did, yes,
Yeah,
you told
yeah.
me, yes. Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
there's four houses
I've
on
got
the
a
left.
photo of Woods outside those houses.
And you went over the... There was a copper in the back,
I'm not
Cyril,
sure.
where they
Yeah.
boiled the washing and...
Oh yeah. Oh, Mum had a copper in the passage.
Mrs.
Yeah,
Ward
yeah.
lived next door.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Ward family
Mm.
lived next
Is,
door
would
to
that be
us.
Diane's parents?
Diane's parents,
but,
they live next door to the
relation to
Relation.
dragon, the Georgian
Yes,
dragon,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
and
the,
previously-
quite a large family, the
yeah,
Ward family.
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
used to be. There used to be a pub called the White Hart that was built right up to the pavement, and when that was knocked down,
and where was that?
that next door to the dragon, right next door to the dragon.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't remember it. I've seen photos, but I know it was there. And it's called the White Hart. And when that was knocked down, and then it was a builder's yard for Billy Ward, they called it the White Hart Works.
Oh,
Mm.
I've seen that.
was that next? Oh, that's right. So
Yeah, yeah.
Billy Ward, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
I've seen a photo of that
Yeah.
then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
I
oh,
remember
yes.
that now.
There's
Yes,
probably one in the
Came next to the dragon.
post
George
office.
Yeah, that's
Dragon,
right.
didn't
Yes,
it?
there's
Yeah.
probably one in the post office.
Mhm.
Diane's got quite a few photos
Yeah.
like
Yes,
this.
yes.
And you went
Yes.
up the yard. And it
Yes,
was,
that's right.
yeah.
You went up the yard, and didn't used to go to the DIY places. Then if I wanted some wood, some timber, I used to go there up those stairs.
On the outside of the building?
Yes, that's right. Tell the chap at the top that was the secretary, he was Ruth Hall's husband, what I wanted. He said, "Oh, go through into the shops and tell." Trying to forget. Anyway, the fellow that was in charge, Kirkland, Mr. Kirkland. He said, "Tell Mr. Kirkland what you want."
Ian Kirkland's dad?
Yeah, yes, and they cut it out for me, and that's it. I mean, I made a cupboard in there and a hole in the wall and lined it out, and he cut the the block board for me, and I made the doors with that. Make more cupboard space.
You still got it?
Yeah. Oh yes, I still got it. Yeah, yes, I'll show you the cupboard when you go out. Yes, it was very useful then.
Yes.
You can't get anything in the village now.
No, we used to be able to get everything in the village.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Paint and
Yeah, everything.
electrical goods.
Well, Jeff Harvey's was
Oh,
like in Aladdin's
oh,
cave
it was.
shop.
Yes, that's right.
To
Yeah,
buy
yeah.
everything.
Now we can get
Nothing.
Nothing
hardly.
hardly. No.
You used to be able to order your wallpaper from Jeff's
Yeah.
and he'd get it delivered for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yes, it was
Okay.
very useful. Yeah.
Yes. And then further down the road, obviously, you've got Bannister's Builders on the other side.
Yes,
which
that's
you
right.
worked
That's
for.
I went to work for them when I was 14.
Yeah. And you built the houses in Wellfield Road towards.
Yes. Those I think they need all hip roofs that Bannister built down there. Mind you,
That was past the entrance to
Poppy Gardens.
Poppy Gardens.
By the entrance
those.
to the left of Poppy Gardens, there's two pairs of houses, isn't there? Well, Bannister built those years ago before I ever went to work for him. But then he built the rest of them right up to the police house
Yes.
on the left hand side there.
Those came a bit later, didn't they, Cyril, on the left?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Then further
Built
down
quite
you've
a
got.
few in Furlong Lane, didn't he? Wellfield Road as it is now.
Yeah, Ward's built a lot on the other side
Yeah.
of
And Mr. Leavesley
yeah,
built
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
in Wellfield Road.
Then you got Mr. Hill the cobbler, a bit further down.
Yes,
the road.
Jazz Hill. Yes, yes. He
Mr.
was.
Hill Cobbler.
Yes, he was just past.
Mr. Cobbler shoes.
Yeah, just past the hardware shop. He was, and yes, he was.
His daughter.
So if you go
His
down
daughter's
towards the
name.
38,
You go down
Nelly,
towards the
Nelly
38
Hill.
and Nelly
Nelly
Hill.
was
That's
his
right.
daughter,
Yeah, yeah.
Nelly
Yeah.
Hill.
Yes, that was as you go down towards the 38. Cowlings was there, and almost next door it was Jazz Hill.
oh, so that the cobbler was closer to the A38. I've got it the other
That's
way
right.
round.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So, what was Mr. Cowley's? Was a sweet shop before that?
Yes, it was Mr. Williams had it as a sweet shop before Cowlings.
Don't remember it before Cowlings.
Don't you remember that? I remember that May Simpson, she was a little bit backward, and she was walking along the pavement with one leg in the gutter and one not, and she fell in front of the steamroller that was right outside there and killed her.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was
What was her name, Cyril?
May, wasn't it? There was a May and a June. I think it was May.
Simnett.
The Simnett,
That's
yeah,
right,
yeah.
Simnett.
They used to live in the houses next door to where Harvey used to have the shop. That row of houses there, between them and Peter Livesey.
My sister Jean
Oh,
told me about that.
Duros.
Hmm?
Duros lived next door to.
Yes, he lived in the first
one
one
of
there.
those.
Yes, and
Yeah,
it was in that
yeah.
road there they
Yeah.
used to live. Yes, further along.
Those old houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
and-
terrible,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Then
Oh, it was.
opposite, this is where I got confused, because you've got what is Nick Collins now. Before that, I can remember it being a grocer's, little tiny grocer's.
Yes, well-
before the back part was
Yeah.
built onto Nick's.
Yeah, well that's right. It was. It started off as a fish and chip shop, and it was only a wooden building, and
Yeah.
apparently.
That's Mar Taylor's.
Yes, that's right. No, Mrs. Guy started it off years ago as a fish and chip shop, and Lizzie Merrick used to help her serve. I thought it was Lizzie Merrick's, but it wasn't. Peggy told me this, And then of course after that, after Mrs Taylor gave it up, then it was vacant, and Leavesley knocked down the shop and the cafe on the corner and the house next door where you used to live, next door to 22, and he let them use that as a groceries instead of the one he'd knocked down, and they lived in the first house. Looking at we always call it the pie shop even now. Looking at it there's a row of houses there.
Yeah.
And they lived in that end one, next door to 22 Main Street, Orrewus, as a matter of fact. They lived there for a while.
Yeah. And then you've got, where was Revel's Cafe then? Was that
Revel's
where?
Cafe. Well, that was where Horsley's. It was later on Horsley's shop and cafe, but before that it was Revel's.
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah.
And yes, yes, and Revels used to have part of where we later lived in 22 Main Street. There was a building right onto the road that was perhaps about as long as from here to that table there, just beyond there, and then there was as much again that was wood and glass, and it was a cafe, and they sort of had the two properties in those days. When we went there, it was falling into a bit of disrepair, and we knocked the glass bit down, and we just kept the brick one for a garage. But
And then there was an old house built next to Leavesley's, wasn't there? Where Leavesley's forecourt is now. On the end, there was a real big old house.
yes,
there.
that's right. It was a lovely place as well. He built that. The old chap, Leavesley, and he'd.
And some came out of an old hall, didn't
Yes,
they?
that's right. Drakelow Hall. Drakelow Hall was knocked down,
Yeah.
and I think he'd bought it, knocked it down, and he built that house. And he built a lovely house
Was it
there.
granite or something?
There was a lot of stone in it. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. He made a good job of it.
Heavy stone.
Yeah.
And
I remember it.
also he put a lot of that into what is Wellfield Road now on the right. There's a lot of houses there. There's some banister ones on the right hand side there at first, but if you go a bit higher up past that footpath, you know where that footpath comes through,
Yes.
all those houses that are gable ends, Leavesley's built, and he put all the stuff from Drakelow Hall in. There's perhaps I shouldn't say this if he might see this film, but they used to say that he put all sorts of stuff in the walls, old sinks and whatnot, on the inside part of the walls to build it up.
So who built, when you go past Oakville Road, and you've
Yeah.
got the houses there that lie back, who built those houses?
Which road? sorry?
When you go up Wellfield Road,
Oh yeah,
Well,
and you've got the road to Oakville Road,
yeah.
into
just past there, there's the houses like with quite long front gardens.
Yes, that's right. It
Before you
goes
get
into
to Turton
Turton Close.
Turton Close.
Yes,
Those came
I'm not
later,
sure who
didn't they?
did that. It wasn't an Orrewus builder, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
At that point, you've
Much
got a lot of
later.
builders coming from elsewhere and building them. Probably the same one
There's
that's
ones
built
that
those
goes
over
out
there
still,
now.
yeah,
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
yeah.
They were sort of latter day buildings there. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
But all those on the right hand side, from about halfway up Wellfield Road, were built by Leavesley's.
Was he a builder then?
Before
Well, I think he got somebody to build them, and he just provided
Didn't,
the stuff.
Mr. Reuben Dolman have a shed
It did have a
where
bit of a small
Turton
holding
Close
up. Yeah,
was?
yes.
Mr. Reuben Dolman. They were a small holding. The back of there, didn't he?
Yes,
Sheds
yes,
and
yes,
the
yes.
field.
He used to come round the village selling stuff with a cart, didn't he? And he used to have a small holding up there somewhere.
One of
But
the
I can never
small
quite place
holdings.
it now. They've altered everything. It's ever so difficult to
It
realise
was
exactly where it
round
was.
there,
Yes.
wasn't it? Yeah.
So what relation is Reuben Dolman to John Dolman?
I'm not.
No.
I don't
I
think
think there was
he's.
some distant relative, but
Yes, he probably. Yeah, quite.
Well, that's Elaine, and she's going to look on the family
they
tree
were a
'cause she
large
doesn't know.
family.
Yeah, yes,
the
that's right. Yes,
Dolmans.
yes, there was a lot of
Very
Dolmans in the
large
village.
family.
Yeah.
But
There were a
as-
lot of large families in the
Yeah, oh, there
village.
were,
weren't
yes,
there?
yes, Walkers and
The
Dolmans.
Venables, Dolmans,
Looking at your photos there.
Walkers.
Yes.
Yeah,
uh,
Yeah.
Cyril's were quite a large
Yeah,
family, Mr.
yeah.
and Mrs. Povey, weren't
Yeah.
they? Quite a
yes,
large
yes, there was
family.
about 10, yes, because there was no television in those days, you see.
The Ward family were quite a large family, weren't they?
Mm?
The Ward
Yes,
family.
it,
were quite a large
yes,
family.
yes, it was the fashion
Venables.
to have
The
big families
Venables,
those
Yeah.
days.
Walkers, Dolmans.
Mm.
All the
All
names
large
on
families.
your on that you've named on those photos.
Mm.
Yeah, all the names in
Yeah.
there rang
Yeah.
a bell.
Mm.
Yeah,
And they were all distantly related.
and the Burtons.
Uh,
They were-
yeah, I don't think they
Yeah.
were too
But-
large, were they, the Burtons?
No, no, I don't think that the
Quite
one.
a lot of large.
Yeah, some of them that have got the same names are not related, but there's a lot of them are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So we've done all the shops and the farms then
Yes, I think
in the
so.
village, we think.
I can't think of any more, can you? So,
I still haven't asked any of the questions on there. I expect to ask.
Yes, and
Okay.
Mrs. Guy that used to have that shop, the first fish and chip shop there, where Nick Collins is now.
Yeah,
She lived at there's a row of cottages just this side, quite small cottages, and she used to live
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I don't know who lives in them now.
well, doesn't Peter Barker live in one of them?
Who?
Peter Barker.
I don't
Doesn't he
know.
live in one of them?
I don't know where he lives now. He used to live in that the big house, didn't he? But between Joe Green's and the one on the corner where Charlie Prince lives.
Oh, I thought he lived in one of
He
them.
used to. Oh no, he lives with his mother now. Somebody told me the other day.
oh yes, he does.
Yes,
Fox
yeah.
Lane. doesn't
Yes,
he?
that's right. Yes,
Fox
Oh, the big
Lane.
old house in
that's
Fox
right.
Lane.
Yes, yes.
Before you get to Mr.
Yeah.
Kidd's
Yeah.
house.
Mm.
What was the name? Didn't one of the Simpsons move into one of those cottages down by Barker's?
Simpsons.
Simpsons. Oh yes, yes.
Doreen that was married to Pete Paul. Was it her mother or something? One of them live in one of those.
Yes, I remember Doreen that married people. No, it was. Oh dear. Trying to think of what. Yes. She's only been dead about a year. One of them lived there. He'd been dead some time. But yes, it was Mr. and Mrs. Simpson, but it wasn't in relation to Bill Simpson.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
And Mary Begley's daughters married to the son of the Simpsons that lived down there in those cottages. Yeah. And of course they're both gone now, and I don't know who lives there now.
No, I don't.
No.
Can we do Tom Rice?
Beryl was the last one that I knew lived there. Beryl Simpson.
Beryl,
Yes, used to see her at the Co-op often, and I was
Yes.
quite surprised because she was getting about quite a bit, and all of a sudden she'd gone.
Beryl, I remember Beryl.
Beryl,
Yes. Yeah.
Very nice, Beryl.
Yeah.
Was. Yeah.
So can I ask a couple of questions off here, just that I've asked something on it? What was life like at school?
Oh, it was lovely.
It was okay,
Happy,
yeah,
happy
yeah.
school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it
very
was.
happy.
Yes, in fact,
But there wasn't too much. There wasn't a library, for instance, was there? So,
no, it was fairly basic.
fairly
just,
basic.
elementary.
Yeah. But as I say, very happy.
This is a school over the Canal Bridge.
That's right. Yes,
Yes.
It's you
Yeah.
can still recognise it as
Can
a
I
school.
tell you a
I'm glad they've done that
story?
and left it
Can I tell you a
recognisable.
story? The war years, 1947, terrible winter,
Yeah.
and Mr. McKnight, Mackie we affectionately call him, brought us all out of every classroom and we all walked on the canal because it was frozen to the bottom.
They don't do it
Yes.
nowadays.
Yeah.
But
No,
it
He
went
said,
go on
"Come
the canal.
all of us come
Yeah.
out, fetched each classroom.
And he
Do you
jumped about.
remember
Oh
it,
yes,
Sir?
I do. Yes, I was going to
And
bring
so-
that.
Was he
The whole
headmaster
school.
or
The
was
head,
he,
he
like
was the
their
headmaster,
teacher?
yes, and,
Matt,
and,
yeah,
he,
we call.
tested the canal, decided it was safe, and let us have the playtime on the canal instead of in the
And
playground.
the snow was banked high up, 47. It was
Yeah, that's right.
very
Yes.
severe winter.
Yeah.
And,
We had fun.
I
didn't we,
remember
on
that
canal? Yeah,
very
yeah,
well.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen photos of
Yeah.
skating on the canal, going back.
And Mr.
years.
McKnight, you know, married. He lost his first wife,
Yes, that's
and
right.
he married Miss Dodds. She was
that's
teaching
right.
us.
That's
in
right.
the-
Yeah, she
the
was
third,
nice. Yes, yes.
Third, what did we call it? Third
Standard 3.
Standard 3.
Yeah.
And he married Miss Dodds, her sister. She was Mrs. McKnight's sister.
Kept it in the family.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I remember she said, we were in the class, you see, me and my friend, and we didn't know what to call it. Oh, you can call me Mrs. McKnight. You know, we didn't know what to call her. Oh, you can call me Mrs. McKnight.
Yeah. Yes, we did have quite a good
Yeah.
time
Did
at
they live
school.
in
It
the
was.
village?
It was.
Did Mr. and Mrs. McKnight live in the village?
Oh yes, in the schoolhouse.
Yes,
Oh,
Yes,
Yeah,
there's a
yes.
schoolhouse. It's part of what you can still see there now.
Right.
Yeah.
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 He was, he used to use the stick, didn't he, the cane? He'd
Oh, we
do,
did. Yes, yes.
Come on, old
Oh
Jan.
yes, hold your hand out and
boys.
whack.
I
Yes,
remember
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Only the boys, not the girls.
No,
Not the girls. No.
No, and then they
Just the
spit
boys.
on it and
Yeah.
What were meals like at school?
oh, we didn't have
Oh,
meals.
we didn't have meals at
no.
school in those days. What
Oh,
we
you
used to
went home
do,
to
Came home for you.
we used to take sandwiches with us, and at dinner time we used to go down the canal side, and you know where the bowling green is.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we went through into the churchyard, and there was where they're using it now as part of the churchyard, but then there was a couple of old desks, weren't there, there? And they overlooked the bowling green, and we used to sit at these old desks and eat a dinner. Yeah, have the sandwiches.
Oh, those.
I didn't teach sometime. What age did you leave school? Oh, you
I
said
left school at 14.
didn't you? Yeah.
15, mate. We went to
15.
15.
Yeah. And what did you do when you left school?
When I left school,
No,
I remember that, can you?
I can remember. I went straight to Bannister's as a plumber's mate.
I went in a grocery
yeah,
shop,
yeah.
Lichfield.
Uh,
Yeah, Perk's grocery shop, I think.
I went to Bannister's, and Jack Bannister introduced me to Chick Jeffs as his new plumber's mate. And he said, "What's your name?" I said, "Cyril." He said, "Oh, that's too clean for a plumber. We'll call you Jack." and so I was Jack henceforth on the building there. And even when I went to Armsy Shanks, they said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Jack," and everybody called me Jack.
How did you get to work then in
Um,
Lichfield?
on the bus, yeah.
So you got a
Midland
regular
Red.
bus service then in the village?
Yes.
Oh
It was a
yes,
good
yes.
bus
It was a good
service,
bus
yeah.
service. It went straight from here to there
Yeah.
without going 3 times round North Radley.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there used to be a very late bus to bring us home. You
If
know,
you went
at
down
11
south.
o'clock,
Mm.
half past 11, I think there was
Yeah.
one. And if we went to a dance, you know,
Or the pictures,
there was
yeah.
always
yeah,
a bus
yeah,
to,
yeah.
bring you
But
home.
we've heard that there was a flea pit in the village years ago.
Oh yes, there was, didn't there? We used to go to the old
It,
pictures.
well, it was a village hall. Well, it wasn't a village hall then. It was Oddfellows Hall.
Yes.
And we used to have all sorts of dances and things there.
Yeah.
And the Clifton cinemas used to come round, all in a big van.
Oh, that's
And they
right.
went round all the outlying villages, and they every so often, I don't think they come every week, but and perhaps every month. And there was films on there, you know, the old Abbott and Costello things, and we had some good times
they were
there.
good
Yeah.
films, yeah.
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 So what did you do for social life in the village then?
Oh,
Well, it was dancing, wasn't
Dances,
it? Yes.
yeah.
There was regular dances.
This was what, when you were about 15, 16?
A
or were you
teenager.
allowed out then?
I tell you, when we were a teenager,
Oh, yeah.
there was spin the plate, and you spun the plate, and whoever the plate fell towards, you danced with them.
Oh, yeah.
You danced with them. Who your plate dropped towards.
Whether you liked them
So
or not.
Yeah.
I don't remember that one. I
Don't you
remember
remember
the old
that?
dances. They used
Spin
to
the plate.
mainly a quick step and a general excuse me.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted to dance with somebody, it was the women's privilege.
Later
they
on,
got up
yeah,
and
when
said,
we were older, they were good dancers.
Oh, they
weren't
were,
they?
yeah.
And where were
Yeah.
these? In the village?
in the village hall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Roy, someone used to come from Burton, the band. Didn't
That's
she,
right,
Roy?
yes, there was a woman-
Squadronaires.
Yes, that's right. The Squadronaires
Band.
and Madame Bruce. Do you remember
I
Madame
don't
Bruce?
remember
yeah.
that one.
And the Pendletons.
Pendletons
Yeah,
from Litch. Do you remember the Pendletons?
Mm.
No.
Because they came in the 50s.
Yeah.
And then, of course, later on.
But there was just him on the accordion.
Mm.
She was on, what was she on? The piano? Or-
Yeah, piano.
And then the
Yeah.
drum at the back.
Yeah,
and
of course
that
there was always
it.
the piano
Just
at the village hall anyway at those days.
Just the three.
Yeah, that's right, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
three
And later on Edwin
The
Tipper
band.
and Jeff and Roy Norton. Roy Norton
Roy
had a band
Norton,
at
that
one
was it, that
time.
was a
Yes,
good
that's
band,
right. Oh, it
wasn't
was,
it,
yes.
so?
But when his band split up, he used to play with a fellow named Jeff. I don't know what his surname was, and Edwin Tipper, and
Oh,
and,
did
and,
they?
and they formed a trio for dances.
Oh, did
yeah.
they?
Mm.
Well, they
Did
were
Edwin
good
Tipper live
dancers.
where he lives now, in the Pink House, or did he live in the village then?
Oh
Edwin?
no, he's always lived where he lives now in
Oh.
that the farm.
Yeah.
Of course, it was his mum and dad lived with his mum and dad, and now it's his. Well, don't know whether it's his or not. I think perhaps it is his, but it's either his or he rents it.
yeah.
The church was quite big in our lives, wasn't it, Cyril?
Oh yes, yes. Oh,
The Sunday
yeah.
school, you had to go to the Sunday school.
Mm.
You know, twice, morning church, evening church, and
Yes.
Sunday school in the afternoon.
No, I used to
Yeah.
go to. I was in the choir, and of course I had to go
And,
to evensong.
Yeah.
Twice a day on Sunday.
Lot
Yes.
of,
And did you get paid as a
Oh
choir
no!
boy?
Oh no! No!
Or
No, didn't get
voluntary?
paid. No.
and
Yeah, so,
there were two.
You might say involuntary. Of course, we had to go.
Two Mrs. Helleby's took us at Sunday school, and they lived. You know that cottage down the mill end with the poem and on the door.
Yes.
Travellers, you pass
Yes.
this way. They lived there. And they were very nice, the Mrs. Helleby's.
And she
Oh,
did
yeah.
Sunday
Do
school.
you remember?
That-
yeah,
yes,
took the
yeah.
Sunday school.
That's
Yeah.
where Graham and Margaret live now.
Miss Pickering.
McGregor's live there
Miss
now.
Pickering took us, Margaret Pickering.
Mm.
And the church army used to come. Do you remember that, Cyril? The church army.
I think I
And
remember.
Mr. Carr joined the church
I think I remember
army.
scuttling out the way when they came.
And, he married Miss Pickering, Mr. Carr. Married Margaret Pickering. And I think they both joined the church army, I think.
Right.
Yes, we used to go to
Rock.
You've got to finish.
when I was in
Miss
the
Helleby
choir.
used to take us up the garden to show us the raspberries, show us her raspberries she was growing, you know, at the back of that cottage.
Yes. Yeah.
But she wouldn't let us have one, they were all under nets, you know.
Yeah.
We
Well, what was the
wanted to
church
pick them.
army then?
Well, it used to come with a van, Cyril, didn't it? It used to come
yeah.
round.
Was it the Salvation Army?
No, it was the church army,
Oh,
it was
that's right.
called. It wasn't the Salvation Army.
Right.
And they used to bring a van round with them and lots of books that they could sell to you, you know, religious books.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
yeah, that
Never heard of that.
Mr. Carr joined it, I think. If I'm not wrong,
Yeah.
I'm sure he did. Yeah.
Yes.
Have you run out of time
You know, we'll do all. I can change it so
Yeah.
it takes. So it's up to you. You do what you've got to
then?
do.
We've only got an
Take-
hour that we can do.
Takes
Oh,
us
yeah.
back,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Takes us
close.
back.
It
This is
certainly
the
does,
thing,
yes.
I mean, the other night I could have stayed here all night, couldn't I? Just going through things.
That's
and-
right, yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
it takes so long, really. Yeah.
And Peter said that he's got absolutely loads left from the last one where he
Yeah.
interviewed people.
It'll take some editing, won't it? All
Yes.
this lot. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It'll be
yes,
edited,
yeah.
will it? Yeah.
Oh yes,
yes,
it'd have to be. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a film.
Yes, I used to
you
go
haven't
to
even seen
the,
the film, have you yet?
for choir
We've got to
practice.
sort that.
Yeah.
The last film, was it Good Billet?
Yes, a billet,
The good billet.
Orius billet, a good billet. Yes,
And
yeah.
you didn't see the
No, I haven't seen
the
that.
Yes,
first one?
Yes, I think
Cut
we've
through
got.
Glorious.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen that. No.
Yes,
I've got a
I've got-
DVD player. So,
I think we've got a copy here somewhere, so I'll let you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
have
have
to
lots
go-
of history.
By Jack
Then
Daniels
there's
and
the
watch it
war
all night.
years.
Yeah.
The war years were quite
Yeah.
interesting. We
Yes,
had-
yes. During the war years, they used to be dances at. It's a bit. I wasn't quite old enough, but there were dances at Fradley Camp, weren't they?
Yeah.
And a lot of the girls went there. Yeah. I suppose
Yeah.
it'd be in a hangar.
And
Yeah.
they used
Yeah.
to billet the Mrs. Hart she lived next door to us. Gerald's granny, she had 3 airmen billeted with her. Yeah, and one came from the Isle of Wight. Eddie Hobbs, his name was.
Crikey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
3.
where we
Because
forgot, didn't
Tom
we?
was down the south on the aeroplanes, ground crew
Yeah.
on the aeroplanes. Tommy was. He was very clever.
Mm.
So Mrs. Hart took in, airmen were billeted with her. And we had 2 WAPs billeted with us.
You
one,
did?
Yes. One was Peggy Malvern. She came from Newcastle. She was very jolly.
And there was somebody who was billeted that actually came and lived in the village afterwards.
Oh yeah.
And it was somebody that was staying with somebody in Wellfield Road.
Oh yeah.
Graham Sellers did a tape
Yes.
of it.
Yeah.
And then there was the
that.
evacuee.
Because I can remember Jean Hill, that was one of the hills from up at Orgrave, telling us when she lived up there that a plane went down up, I always call it the Straight Mile
Yeah.
road up there, and they all went running over to see what they could collect from this plane, and she got into trouble when she got home from her father.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
They used to go after the perspex.
That's
to make,
right. Oh
make
yeah.
make little ornaments out of.
That's right. It was
perspex,
very
it was
very
called.
malleable, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crikey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there was the evacuees we had in the war. Mary Jones had 2 from London. They were called Freddie and Teresa Bunn from London. Little Freddie, yeah.
Mary Jones as in Fox Lane?
Yeah, Mary.
That's right,
Because
yes,
Eric
yeah.
was away, wasn't
Yeah.
he?
Yes,
the
that's
war.
right. Yes, yeah.
And she had 2 from London.
Yeah.
And then a boy she had, Edward someone, I don't know.
No, I
Edward,
don't
know his other
remember, no.
name. Edward, yeah,
So
she
there were
had 3.
many evacuees in the village?
There weren't ever such a lot. No.
I don't know any more,
No.
do you?
There were some opposite us. Hubert Hill, that lives in the house opposite 22, and they had 2 girls. But I don't even remember what the names were. But I think they rather liked it, and they might have stayed in the area.
Yeah. Yes, it's there's a lot of history, isn't there?
Oh yes. Yeah.
This village has got
Yes,
so
lot
much
of
history.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, and then the Americans used to come down, and we'd go and ask them, got any gum
Got any
chum?"
gum chum?
They'd say, and this one said one day, "Oh, I've got some peanut butter you can have." And then we all ran off. We were too afraid to take it.
So you didn't get your stockings or anything like that?
Oh,
No,
they used
we
to
were
get
small
nylons
then. I was
from
only
yes, oh
kiddies
yes.
then, and
I think you had to go to a dance to get the stockings, didn't you?
that came later with the older.
Yeah.
But I was just.
I remember my
small.
sister during the war.
Got any gum chums.
Yeah, when you couldn't get stockings, she used to get sand and rub her legs with sand and colour it,
Yeah.
and then they had to make
pencil.
yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
I can remember that.
yeah.
So what sort of work was there in the village or roundabout?
Well, it was
Which film
mainly
were-
building there. There was several builders. You see, there was Arthur Ward's, there was Billy
There's a
Ward's,
lot
there was
of
Jack
builders.
Bannister, there was Rayworth's. That was just up the top of the main street and round the corner on the Burton Road. Rayworth's was.
Ron Ward
And
did some.
yes,
didn't
yes,
he?
that's right. Yes.
Arthur Ward
and
did
and,
some.
and Charlie Kent.
The one who's in the post office now, her father, was
Diane's
Arthur Ward.
father,
Diane's
yes, yes,
father. He
yeah.
did some, didn't he? Yeah.
So what sort of
no, her
work
father
was
was
it?
Billy Ward.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
Arthur was
Oh, no.
Diane's.
No, it's Billy Ward that lived next door to the Dragon.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Arthur did do some.
Yes, Arthur
because,
was. Do you know where Bannister's builder used to be?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, right opposite there. There's a pair of houses, and they're stand fairly well back, and they've got quite a forecourt. Well, that's where Arthur Ward used to have his
they did
business.
some there, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what sort of work was there for
There wasn't-
girls in the
There
village?
was no work in the village, was there?
No, he mostly went out to
It
Lichfield
was
or
just Mr. Hardy at Fradley.
yeah.
I worked there for 7 years.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Mm.
And what was that?
That was the
Is it
post office. It's still
Post
there
office
now.
and grocery
Post
shop,
office
it's
and
still there now,
grocery.
yeah.
At Fradley.
And I used to
Yeah.
go on my bike and
Yes.
Oh,
worked
Ray used
there
to
for
work
7
there.
years.
He used to work for Hardy's.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Because didn't there used to be a chain maker or something in Wellfield Road?
A what?
Chain maker or something like that in Wellfield Road.
I don't
years
remember
ago.
that. Yes, we've forgotten the blacksmith as well. You know, opposite Dickinson's.
Oh yes,
Opposite Dickinson's, there was a little lane.
Mr. Cartwright was the
no,
wheelwright.
no. Oh yes, he was right by the bridge. But
Yeah.
this one was Mrs. Eyre's husband, and he was
Oh,
the
was he?
blacksmith, and he got the forge. And I think it's still a listed building, that forge is. And I'm not quite sure whether it's which house it's in the garden of now. I think it might be the end cottage. You know, opposite Dickinson's there's a row of cottages.
Yes.
Well, I think it might be in the garden of that end one. But we used to go, as kids, we used to go down this little lane, and you used to watch him beating horseshoes out and all sorts.
Oh, yeah.
And
And
that
then
was
there was
Mrs. Dickinson's dad.
Father.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was Manny Bradford by the Gaskell's Bridge.
Yes,
He
what
was
did he
the-
do?
He was it was a forge there.
I don't remember that. What do
Yeah,
you mean by Wharf
'cause Alan
Cottage?
used to go
Wharf
the
Cottage, was
cottage
it?
there, yeah. Because
Yeah.
he did horseshoing and
I would
yeah,
remember that.
Manny, yeah.
Mm,
It was
mm.
Mrs. Collingwood's brother, wasn't he? Wasn't he? Yes, he was some
Was he?
relation to Mrs. Collingwood, wasn't
Mm.
he?
No,
Yes,
that's
he
something
did
that,
horseshoing and
Mm.
Manny Bradford, his name was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. By Gaskell's Bridge.
Yeah.
Well, we could go on and on.
Yes,
Good,
that's
yeah.
right. Yes. It'll take some sorting out
So
of this
about all the
one.
recreation. What sort of recreation did you do?
Um,
Dare I ask, as teenagers?
teenagers.
Well, we used to go to the pictures at Lichfield. There was a Regal.
Yeah.
It was it safe?
Yes, it was a
Next
lovely
door.
little cinema.
It was a good picture house. The Regal was. It
Yeah.
was
And there was the Lido.
just at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
Regal
Oh, the
and
Lido. They used to call the Lido the flea pit, didn't they?
Did
Yeah. And that's where Wilco's is now, the Lido.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was in a picture house.
Yes, it was
and-
mainly
but the Regal was
pictures,
the best.
wasn't
And
it?
I remember that when I took Jean there often, and 3 and 6 to go into the balcony.
Yeah, that's it.
And my sister used to work there.
1 and 9pence in the stalls.
Yeah, yes, Georgie used to work there in the box, showing the
Oh,
films,
did
you
she?
know. Yeah, she met her husband there.
Yeah.
She went in as, I think they called it a second to the projectionist. And at the time, Jean and I were about, well, I was about 23, 25 or something like that. Jean was a few years younger. And we used to go there, and the Blue Tango was our favourite tune. And when Georgie knew we were in, that she'd play it.
played
You,
it.
you know how they played the interval music.
Yes.
And when you first went in, she played the Blue Tango for us.
Yeah, it was mainly dances, wasn't it? And pictures.
Yes,
and,
dances and the pictures, yes, and of course
pictures
we used to go
the
down
boys
the
you-
river.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I mean, you know that bridge is falling to bits now, and you can't go down there unless.
Yeah.
But it's
We'd
there's
all
just a path about
congregate.
that wide down there now, and it was like a highway. There was no weeds. It was bikes and prams, and everybody used to go down there to that first bridge, the river, and the kids used to get in on the right hand side, and the adults on the left hand side. They used to dive off the bank, and we was down there a lot.
Oh, it was
and-
the congregating
yeah.
place.
And then
really,
when we
wasn't
got
it?
fed
The
up with
river
that,
and-
we'd get out to the river and we'd go
Yeah.
across two fields and to the Shallows,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
the Swarborn, and it goes past Witchner Hall. You can see Witchner Hall from the banks of the Swarborn.
Yes,
In
well-
fact, you can go across because it was only about that deep at one point, and we
Yeah.
used to get in
Go
there.
and- It was
used to
called
get
the
in there.
Shallows.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go and paddle
It wasn't
and-
that shallow, you know, by those trees. You get in
No,
where it
went
was
deep,
shallow and
it
walk
didn't
down.
it?
That's how we learned to swim. We taught
Just a
ourselves to
shallow
swim. We used to walk
path.
until we was that, and then we used to swim back.
And on Sundays, families would have a walk out on a Sunday evening.
Oh, yes,
Most
yeah.
families. They'd have a
Yeah.
walk and,
Yeah.
and they'd walk to the Shallows and
Yes, that's right. And we used to walk to
And,
Bluebell Wood as well, didn't we?
the
At
Bluebell Wood at
Where's Bluebell
Catton
Wood?
and-
Oh, at Catton.
Catton, yes,
and
yeah.
this,
Yes, you used to go. Of course, the road was opposite Leasley. You just went straight down there,
And
over
Fisherwick,
Chetwynd Bridge and under the railway bridge, and then you'd turn left, and it's opposite Catton Hall. There was all this wood with the bluebells in.
Catton Park.
They've fenced it off
Walked to
now.
Catton Park and it was
yeah.
all open.
Yes.
And Fisherwick, there was a Bluebell Wood, wasn't
That's
there?
right, yes,
Fisherwick,
Yeah.
Bluebell Wood.
Yes.
And yeah, it was quite common to have a walk out
yes.
on a Sunday evening.
Mhm.
Families.
Good for you as well, yeah.
And Dad and Mum used to take us down the canal side to the Swan, and then we used to go along the Coventry Canal, and as we come out on the Coventry Canal by the main road, on the left there was a pub called the Bell. That's why it's called the Bell Bridge now, and they used to sit in the garden and have a drink and
Oh,
buy
that's
us
right,
some
at the
crisps
Bell.
and some
Yeah, I
pop.
think
Yeah.
we went
And
there
then we
once,
used to, I
yeah.
think, I don't know whether we used to walk back along the canal or whether we along the main road. Probably along the main road because it wasn't so
Because
busy
it
then,
wasn't-
you see. No.
No, it wasn't, no.
But that
And
was
at
quite a
the,
good round walk.
So
that
the
was.
river-
that goes on to another question now then.
Oh,
Where did you have your first pint?
Pint.
did you?
Most likely in the Crown. We used to use the Crown a lot in those days.
How
And
old were you?
I don't know, probably underage. yes. So, but in late teens, I suppose. And of course, in those days, the pubs used to regularly run trips. And we used to go to, they say, oh, we're doing a trip, so-and-so wants to come. And they used to fill a coach. And we used to go to Blackpool or various places.
Yeah.
And well, we had a lot of fun. Yeah.
And this is all from the pubs? In the
Yes,
village,
yes. The Crown used to.
Yeah? And were girls allowed to go as well?
I don't remember.
Oh yes. Anybody,
I
yeah,
remember
Jean used
the
to come with
Dragon
me.
had the off licence, and we used to go for something there to the off, like a little corridor,
Yes,
wasn't
that's
it?
right.
The
Yes.
George
Yeah,
and
as you
Dragon,
go up the alley.
a long corridor, and you'd
Yeah.
walk down the corridor, and you could get some,
Yeah.
something
Yes, that's
down there. couldn't you?
that's included in the ladies' toilet, I think now, because
Oh,
as you
yeah.
go up the Dragon Alley,
Yes.
on your left hand
was on
side,
the
there's a
left.
little alcove and there's a tap there,
Yeah.
and there used to be a door there, and you used to go
We used
along.
to go- Long corridor, wasn't it?
several yards, and then turn the corner to your left, and then there was the
Then-
outdoor.
They'd
Yes.
serve you with some
But of course they-
pop or what you
um,
wanted.
not many pubs have an
Lemonade,
outdoor nowadays, do
shandy
they?
The Crown used to have an
Shandy.
outdoor.
It did, yes.
I can remember that.
No. Yes, the Crown outdoor is more or less still there now because you go in and you can go straight into the bar there or into the big room there,
Yeah.
and the outdoor was just that passage.
It
there was a
the
thing,
door, yeah.
a
The window they
shutter.
used to
That's
open
right.
it,
Yes.
They were,
and
they told
also-
you about the Paul Pry on the main road.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Before
yeah.
it was knocked down, that was
Yes,
very
that's-
popular.
yeah,
yes,
it was.
Paul Pry.
Yeah.
That's where Dad met
Yeah,
the fellow that he went to work for in Birmingham.
The show used to be on that
Mm.
field, Paul Pry field.
Yes, that's right, in those
Glory
days.
show.
Yes,
Really
yes.
good
Yes.
show those
Yeah.
days.
Yeah,
All the cattle there and
yeah, a proper village show.
yeah.
What about the railway? Was that ever used? The station? Was that ever
Oh
used?
yes, the station.
No, it's not on
I
there.
used to regularly go to Burton or Lichfield on the
Oh,
train.
yes,
And
the
I preferred the train. I was
Mm.
ever so sorry when it stopped.
Yeah.
Because
yes.
Hilda Lumley used to live by there.
Who?
Mm,
Hilda Lumley.
that's right.
Yes,
Nice
yeah, oh
to
yes,
live
they used to
there.
live in one of the council houses. Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
They
Yes.
I
used to
worked
go
with
on the
her.
Yeah, oh, did
train
you?
to work in Burton in the mornings,
Mm.
Yeah,
the girls and young men.
yeah.
And yeah, it was quite.
And did it go
good,
to Lichfield then or not?
Yes, it went to
Did
Lichfield
it?
or Burton. Yes, yes,
I know
yeah,
it went
yes.
to Burton.
Yes, I'm
So
hoping that they do
a lot
reinstate it
worked at
sometime.
Branston
Of
Because of the
Factory.
Arboretum, yeah.
A lot of the girls worked at Branston
The
Factory.
people
That's
factory.
right.
And
Oh
they'd
yeah.
go on the
Oh,
train
oh, that's right.
to
Yes.
get to Branston Factory. They went on the train, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Elsie used to
And-
work at Branston Factory.
Did she?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so yeah.
That's me sister that
Yeah.
died last year.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
A lot
it
worked
was
there, didn't they?
quite a
So-
lot of folks used to work there. Yes,
Mm.
yes. It was a sort of a
Mm.
ordnance.
That's
Ordnance,
right.
yeah.
To do with the army,
Still
wasn't
in
it?
survey place.
To do with the
Yes,
army,
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
And they went working as messengers or something. Messengers, weren't they?
I don't remember
The
that bit.
sister was a
Mm,
messenger.
Yeah.
When it was the Ordnance Survey
Yes,
place.
yes.
Yeah.
To do with the army.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she went on the train in the mornings.
Yeah.
Mm.
And how old would she have been then?
My sister, she's 80 now. 5 years older than me.
Yeah. And
That
did she
was
live in
Jean, was it?
Orwas?
She lived at Hampstead Ridgeway.
Right. Mm.
And what else? I'd like to mention Fido Griffiths at the river. He used to do the life saving, didn't he?
Who?
They called him Fido Griffiths.
Fido Griffiths.
Was that his name?
Oh,
Real
right.
name?
It was I think that was I don't think that was his real name, was
He's-
it?
he
What was
used
his
to-
name?
Did he used to live?
And he used to, if someone was in trouble,
Mm.
he'd dive off the top, you know, and get them out and give respiration.
Is he,
or
did they used to live
artificial
where
respiration.
Charlie Prince lives now?
Griffiths, he had a sister, didn't he?
That's right. Yes, the two. Yes, they used to live there. Yeah,
Yes, did
yeah.
they?
Mm.
And he was very
Yes, I
good.
remember him,
He
yes,
saved many
yeah.
lives.
Mm.
If they got into trouble,
Yeah.
in the river.
Was this down where by the weir or further up?
Where
No,
would-
it was by the river bridge mainly. We
Yeah,
used.
the river
You go over the
bridge.
Mill Stream Bridge
Yeah.
to the next bridge, and we used to swim there,
swim
both
there.
sides.
Used to-
And then, as I say, we used to go
Ideal.
across the fields to the Swarborn occasionally.
The shallows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he
Yeah.
saved my friend Mary Dolman. He saved her life. She
uh,
was getting into trouble.
mm.
Is that John Dolman's sister?
Some relation, no, not his sister.
Oh right.
Some relation.
Yeah.
But, yes, he saved her life and he gave her respiration. She went
Okay.
home all right. But,
Hmm.
yes, he was very good.
Yeah.
Called him Fido, but I don't know what his real name was. So do you?
Tony
He joined the
was,
police
was it Tony?
after.
Tony.
I think it was.
Mm.
He joined the police, I think, after, or
Yeah.
he was in the police.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Ah, well, I reckon you've got quite enough to
Have we?
sort through then.
With-
Thank you so
Have you had
much.
enough?